Welcome fellow travelers to how to have the very best start in No Man's Sky Sentinels in 2022. I am going to show you exactly how I progress with a fresh save all the way to maxing out my general, technology, and cargo slots. I'm going to show you how to make billions of units as well as tons of nanites. And if you follow the steps shown in this guide, I will show you how to get a fully maxed out exotic ship before you even fight your very first freighter battle. While we're upgrading our inventory slots, I will show you how to get all 16 glyphs so you can get a really neat multi-tool just like this one. In the end, I settled for a max slot A-class freighter, which is pretty awesome. We're going to build an amazing base here. This is hands down the very best new player's beginner's guide to No Man's Sky in 2022. Enjoy. This playthrough will be in normal mode, although all the tips I'm going to show you in this guide are vital to your success in survival as well as permadeath. The moment you initialize Traveler, you are going to be spawned on a random planet or moon somewhere in the Euclid galaxy. The very first thing you need to do is try to find some sodium. They will be the plants that glow yellow. There's some right in front of us right there. Early game, you are going to use a lot of the sodium to recharge your hazard protection, and when you spawn in the game for the very first time, you barely have any protection at all, so you better find some sodium. Priority number 2 is to get your scanner fixed. That is going to require ferrite dust. Ferrite dust can be found in any of the small rocks that litter the planet or moon's surface. This next step is optional but highly recommended. Before you lift off your starter planet for the very first time, make sure you spend a little bit of your gameplay inside of a cave. Caves will recharge your hazard protection for free, as well as have cobalt, oxygen, and sodium, which are very important to your future. Once you stop spinning around, the direction you are facing right now is the direction of your crashed ship. We're just about to have control of our tune. Here we go. Let's grab up that sodium. That's going to make my life a whole heck of a lot easier, especially when I find it right away. See what I mean about not having hardly any hazard protection? Well, let's get that topped off. We're good to go now. Another high priority element is called dihydrogen. You will primarily use this for making rocket fuel as well as life support gels in the early game. And seeing as how I need to get my scanner fixed as soon as possible, I might as well mine up some of this ferrite dust as well as a little bit of carbon so I can refuel my mining laser. One of the easiest ways to obtain a bunch of oxygen early game is to find these gassy pods, run up to them, and then harvest those little red sacks. Make sure you're not too close when they explode like that or you will get poisoned. Once you're done, just blow them up with your mining laser and you'll get even more oxygen. Now that we have a little stash of everything we need, let's get this scanner fixed. Getting the scanner fixed is going to help you find elements so much easier in the game, and when you need them, you better know exactly where they're at. After you pulse your scanner, you're going to notice that there's little icons all over the place like Na for sodium, H for dihydrogen, and O2 for oxygen. See what I mean about how easy it is to find the elements we need when we need it? That's why I love getting the scanner fixed early. As you're running around, you're going to find yellow boxes, white boxes, green boxes, and little red boxes. You definitely want to loot all of them that you possibly can. Make sure that you keep that rusted metal early on because we can turn that into ferrite dust later. Well, the good news is I knew exactly where my crashed ship was going to be. Bad news is, didn't find a single cave. The other thing you can count on is there will always be 4 oxygen plants near your crashed ship, so if you just make a V-line for your ship, you'll definitely get there before you run out of oxygen. Every single time you find a piece of damaged machinery, you are most definitely going to want to loot it. It will always give you a bunch of nanites, or you can even get S-class modules from them. That slime that I looted from the damaged piece of machinery can be refined down to nanites. Honestly though, it is a big fat waste of your time because you just don't get that much for it. Just wait until I show you how to make nanites by the boatload later in the video. At this point in your gameplay, you are about to experience the very first gameplay storyline elements in No Man's Sky. And I completely respect that if you're a new player, you want to be surprised just like I was on the very first time I played No Man's Sky, so this guide is going to be completely spoiler free. Once you have finished interacting with the ball, it's going to want you to repair your crashed ship. Now there's going to be more storyline here, so time to skip it. Once you click Repair Ship Systems, it is going to send you on a little mini quest to find the Hermetic Seal Blueprint. Alright, so the things we can do right now is to create a metal plating in order to fix our pulse engine. We can also make a dihydrogen jelly in order to fix our launch thruster. The only other thing we need to fix the launch thruster is pure ferrite. We can do that by making a portable refinery. They are super easy to make. You only need one metal plating and have at least 30 oxygen on hand. Once you make it, you can just place it down anywhere and start refining your elements. Now, portable refiners do come at a cost. You will need to put at least carbon or condensed carbon in it to power your refiner. Without this, it's not going to do a daggone thing for you. Now, in order to create pure ferrite, you are going to need ferrite dust. Once you put it in there, every single piece of ferrite dust you put in will be converted 1-to-1 into pure ferrite. Now, let's see if I can stop this right on 50. Of course not. 51. It is what it is. Now that we have at least 50 pure ferrite on hand, we can now repair our launch thrusters. The only thing that is left to do is to complete the mini quest for the Chromatic Seal. The other thing you'll want to do at this point, if you haven't done it already, is to install an analysis visor into your multi-tool. What this will do is give you the ability to start scanning and cataloging all the fauna, flora, and minerals in No Man's Sky. Every flora, fauna, or mineral that you scan will give you units. And if there is a secondary element in the plant or mineral, it will report on your scanner. Then you'll be able to start harvesting that as well. As you can see, once I install my analysis visor, I scan pretty much every daggone thing that I possibly can if it has a question mark. Once you have everything scanned, you can rename them if you want, but once you upload them, you get nanites for it, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so I scanned until my heart's content. Let's get some of this rusted metal busted out and turned into ferrite dust. It is now time to go get our Hermetic Seal. And in order to trigger that quest, you just have to hop back into your ship again. Never fear, there's no game spoilers in this one. It's just going to tell you that you need to get the Hermetic Seal, blah blah blah, request assistance. Let's get our butts out of here and go get that thing sorted. Well, before we do that, you can see I'm starting to feel the pinch of running out of space in my inventory in the beginning. This is something that you're always going to run into. So what you're going to want to do is move all of that technology that you have in your general over to the technology section. You'll want to do the exact same thing in your ship just so you can free up as many slots as possible. Trust me, you're going to run out of room. It always happens. Once you're ready to go, it's time to talk to the Broken Ball of Knowledge once again. It is going to give you a planetary chart. Now all you have to do is plot your route on the planetary chart. It's going to show you exactly where you need to go to find the Hermetic Seal. Pro tip, if there's any other buildings that you see that are close by, you can also find it there. One thing that will always happen to you when you get ready to start your Hermetic Seal quest, basically it has to do with distance from your ship. Once you get far enough away, it's going to trigger a storm. Now, as you can see, I have a huge mountain in between myself and the place I need to go. And trying to run uphill or trying to jetpack uphill in a storm when you don't have a lot of sodium can be dangerous, especially in permadeath or survival mode. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to farm my bitty little heart out right back to my ship and just wait out the storm there, then head and get the Hermetic Seal in complete safety. Alright, looks like the storm is clearing up. Now I'll be able to head over there and get the Hermetic Seal, not even have to worry about taking damage from the elements. I'll see you there. Outagreed, I spent about 10 minutes farming my way all the way here. It shouldn't take that long to get here, but hey, I was greedy. Now all you have to do is interact with the holo console and you'll get your Hermetic Seal blueprint. Skip to the end, there we go. Now I have the blueprint. I can now make Chromatic Seals until my heart's content as long as I have the supplies. Now let's get back to the ship and get that thing lifted off the ground. Wait a second, there's a cave here. I have been looking for a cave for freaking ever. So why do I like caves so much? Well, hazardous flora for one. Every single time you kill them, you can get either oxygen or sodium, and there's generally a whole pile of them inside of caves. The other reason why I like caves so much is, well, in most cases you can actually farm carbon as well as ferrite dust in complete safety. You're not going to be affected by the elements, and as long as you buck down all these hazardous flora, you're not going to get poisoned by them while you're doing it. There will also be cobalt in here, as well as a small chance for silver, gold, and platinum, which is very valuable. The other thing you can do is mine up this cave marrow that you see me scanning right now. Cave marrow can actually be refined down to sodium, and it's really hard to have too much sodium in early game. Alright, so this cave is freaking loaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit in here and mine up all the carbon that I possibly can, because we're going to need a ton of that when I make my base. I'm also going to harvest up all of these stalagmites and stalactites. Most of them should be cobalt, some will be silver, gold, and platinum. The thing is, we're going to need a couple 100,000 in units just so we can buy microprocessors. When we get to the point we can upgrade our warp drive, might as well knock that out right now. Before I mine this whole daggone cave up off camera, let's talk about how to mine properly. If you notice, the hotter my beam gets, the redder it gets. The trick is to try to keep it in red as much as possible without overheating. This is going to do the most damage to the materials possible, helping you collect as fast as you possibly can. Unfortunately, I didn't overheat, but I did run out of fuel. There's nothing I can do about that. So what can you do to keep that beam always red? Well, as you can see, the longer I hold down the button, the hotter it's going to get. The closer you get to the very top end when it's red, you just let go of the trigger and then press down on it again right away. This is going to keep you from overheating your laser. Now that I got all those scumbag plants cleared out of the way, let's throw down the portable refiner and start refining some of this marrow bulb so I can have just a little bit more sodium. Not only will sodium recharge your hazard protection, it will also charge up your ship's shields. So make sure you have plenty of sodium before you lift off, because you might get attacked by bad guys. At this point, I have basically cleared out this entire cave, and I have 13 geoids. You can actually analyze these, and it's going to either give you more cobalt or it's going to give you ionized cobalt, which is worth even more. As you can see, mining out this cave gave me a massive stash of carbon. I also have a pretty good daggone stash of oxygen. Unfortunately, my sodium stash is kind of crappy. We'll get that sorted later, no worries. One of the best ways to save on oxygen is to make life support gels. It only takes dihydrogen and carbon, which is super easy to get your hands on. Just make sure you have enough dihydrogen on hand to make the jellies. Carbon will not be an issue. Finding a cave gives you the opportunity to make a whole boat ton of ion batteries, which is your hazard protection. Trust me, you can never have too much daggone hazard protection. Made it back to the ship when you know I found more green crates, so we might as well turn this rusted metal into ferrite dust. Now let's get the Hermetic Seal put into the pulse engine and get that all sorted. Let's now make as much launcher fuel as we possibly can. If you're playing permadeath or survival, I highly recommend you stock up on that, as it costs a whole boat ton to take off. We're basically ready to take off, but how I like to play is I like to do all of my farming within the very first hour, and once I'm done, I never have to farm a daggone thing ever again unless I feel like it. The biggest thing I need before lifting off is ferrite dust, and the most glorious thing ever is that the secondary element is salt, which I need to make a whole boat ton of money later. So let's spend the next 5 minutes stocking up, then I won't have to farm anything whatsoever except for copper later when I get the terrain manipulator. We're pretty much going to be good for the rest of this playthrough. Cha-ching, we're completely ready to go. Let's say we get this shindig on the road. What do you think? As soon as you take off, just nose her straight up, fly right through the atmosphere and head directly into space. Keep flying forward. Once you leave the planet's atmosphere, you're going to get a system discovery message. If you keep flying forward, you're going to find a patch of asteroids. You will want to farm these asteroids for about 5 minutes. Your main goal is to stock up on tritium and just a little bit of gold, less than 100 if you didn't find it in the cave already. God, I've only been at this for about 3 minutes and we already have a boat ton of gold nuggets as well as the tritium hypercrystals. Obviously the gold nuggets are going to turn into gold, and we definitely have plenty for what I need for our base quest. The hypercrystals can be turned into tritium itself. Out of sheer greed, if for no other reason, I'm going to do this for a couple more minutes, then I'm going to show you exactly how to find the space station before you're supposed to find it. Yeah, see? I've got plenty of tritium and gold now, see? Yep, we're freaking loaded. It's time to head over to the space station and make some space bones. But how in the heck are you supposed to find it if there isn't an icon? Well, it's pretty simple, my dear Watson. The space station's icon might not appear, but its blindingly bright diamond shape definitely shows up on your radar, so just line up straight for it and head in that direction. The other cool thing is all those lines actually start from the space station itself and connect with all of the moons and planets below. If you ever want to find a trading post down on the surface, just follow the lines. Once you arrive to the space station, just fly into the blue hole. I said hole. That's right, I said hole. Hop out of your ship and run past all these glorious looking aliens until you find one of the 2 trade terminals on the space station. Our main goal here is to stock up on a few important things that we need, like 5 microprocessors that we'll need a little bit later down the line. We also want to stock up on as much oxygen as we can afford, as well as a little bit more sodium. Right now though, our main goal is to free up bag space. I'm going to get rid of all the garbage that I've been collecting just so I can make as much money as I possibly can. Space trucker. We're on our way, boys! We're on our way! It's actually pretty cool that I spawned in a Viking system. Viking systems always have these little nanite machines in these back rooms. There's one here at this terminal, and there's another one on the other side where I just was. I just haven't gone over there and mooched them yet. Whenever you're looking to buy specific elements, it's always a really good idea to check both terminals, as they have a chance to spawn different items from each other. Right now, we can't really afford much, so I'm gonna have to sell a whole bunch of this cobalt in order to buy all the extra things we want before heading out. There we go, that should be about right. Just make sure you save a little bit of cobalt. You definitely want to have just a tiny bit left over. Now we can stock up on as much oxygen as we can get. We're also gonna snag up all the sodium we can afford. Man, this is really awesome to spawn in a high supply system. Make sure to grab 5 microprocessors right now. You don't want to have to worry about grabbing them later when you need them. And if you have enough money left over and you need it, make sure to stock up on ion batteries and some more life support gel. Heck, if you need more daggone ferrite dust, you might as well grab that too. Then we're good to go to head out. Generally, as you approach the signal source, you can kind of tell where you need to land. There's usually like a building or something like that nearby. I don't see squat, so I'm just gonna land right here and find it on foot. Don't worry if you can't find the obvious place. Just land, hop out of your ship, and all you have to do is use your scanner. Your scanner will point you in the exact right direction you need to go to find the actual signal source. Yep, looks like it's straight ahead. We just need to head in that direction until we find it. Alright, well that makes a lot of sense. No wonder I didn't see it from there. It's just one of these manual save locations with a piece of broken technology. Now all you have to do is decipher the signal, and then you are going to get the base computer as well as the terrain manipulator. In order to install the terrain manipulator, you will need to make 2 carbon nanotubes as well as 1 dihydrogen jelly. Once you get it installed into your multi-tool, you are now ready to dig big giant holes in the ground, but mostly we need to get some copper so we can make our base computer. Did someone say digging big giant holes? Now that we have our terrain manipulator, we are now able to farm up these buried technology modules. You need these for your base quest, and you can also sell them for a bunch of money or turn them into nanites. Seeing as how I need just a few of these for my base quest, I might as well farm them up right now, and then we're going to get on to building our base. Now if you ever wanted to mark any of the resources you can see in the scanner, all you have to do is hover over it and you'll get the option to tag it. Once a resource or object is tagged, it won't go away. Heck, you can even hop into your ship, fly over there, and hop out right next to it. You're going to know exactly where it's at. But perhaps the space whales are beautiful and I just want to marvel at them, or my tune is a little bit too fat. Either way, I'm just going to run there. Well, so I was running the Space Whales Marathon and I found something extremely rare, which is an unknown grave location. Generally, you won't stumble across these randomly early game. This is an amazing lucky discovery. I'm almost to the Traveler's Grave. I ended up finding some copper on the way there. When you mine this, most definitely make sure you're using the smallest bubble. As you can see, I accidentally mined a huge chunk right away in the beginning. The funny thing about the terrain manipulator is the smaller you make the bubble, overall the more resources you are going to gather. It's just going to take longer. Now if you use the big bubble, you're going to mine it up right away and you're hardly going to get nothing. So definitely use the small bubble. As far as copper goes, you're going to need to mine at least 60 copper in order to build your base computer. You will most definitely want more than 60 copper on hand, so I recommend that you mine this entire node using the smallest bubble. Here we are at the Traveler's Grave. In No Man's Sky, you have the ability to obtain 16 glyphs, and if you have those 16 glyphs, you can pretty much teleport anywhere you want when you find one of the big giant monolith teleporters. Later down the line, I will show you exactly how I got that really pimp multi-tool that I showed off in the beginning of the video, and it all starts with having all 16 glyphs. Now you can build your base pretty much everywhere, but I like to build at either a miner's settlement or a trading post. Luckily, I stumbled across this waypoint here, which looks like a big giant antenna sticking out of the ground. It will send you to the exact location of a miner's settlement, and that's where we're going to build our base. So why build at either one of these two locations? Well, it's quite simple. They both have trading terminals, and you need to build your base by a trading terminal. It just makes your life so much easier. Here we are at the miner's settlement. I'm going to start building my base as soon as I mooch up all the crap that I can find around here. There's always going to be a piece of damaged machinery. And I don't think I mentioned it before, every single time you find a damaged machinery, there will always be a buried technology module right next to it. In order to build the base computer, we are going to need some chromatic metal, and in order to get chromatic metal, you just need to refine copper. It takes 2 copper to make 1 chromatic metal. Once you plop your base computer down, it's going to check if there are any other base computers within the area. It's going to do an aerial scan, and if it doesn't find anything, then this area is totally going to be yours. Interacting with the base computer a second time will give you some more storyline cues. I'm going to skip that, but more importantly, you're going to get some basic blueprints to build your very first base. Before we build our base, let's make some nanites and buy some technology. Head over to the Discovery tabs, and all you have to do is click on the flora, fauna, or minerals that you feel like uploading. Earlier in the video, you heard me say I was scanning my bitty little heart out. Well, I did this on 2 different planets that I was on. I didn't find absolutely everything on the planets, but what I was doing was preparing for this moment right here. 714 nanites total, that's not too bad. This technology guy I'm about to talk to has some really good upgrades that's going to make our life so much easier in the future. When I get to this stage of the game, I really like to purchase the advanced mining laser. I'll also purchase the teleport receiver and the shield lattice at a very minimum. If you can afford it, get the waveform recycler. It's a pretty nice quality of life upgrade. So make sure you have plenty of nanites when you get to this point. It is now time to build our very first epic noob mansion, and what better base to build than Survival Bob's very own Epic Bob Box. The very second you place your very first block, there is going to be a storm that starts to roll in, so make sure you get your walls and roof on as soon as possible, then you won't have to take any hazard damage. After you get your Bob Box sealed in, just head outside and interact with the base computer again. Doing so will give you a whole separate quest line you can complete that has to do with the base computer archives. Once you extract the plans, it is going to want you to make a construction research unit. It also let me know I need salvage data, which is all those buried technology modules that I farmed up earlier. To build one, you will need at least 1 carbon nanotube and 20 magnetized ferrite. Now you can turn pure ferrite into magnetized ferrite, so it's not going to be a problem at all to get that. Now it's going to tell us we need to go out into the world and do the things that we already did, so I'm totally prepared right now to buy all the things. You are going to want to buy absolutely every single thing on this list except for the health station and the hazard protection. First things first, let's get a base teleport module placed down in the corner. Place your battery right next to the teleporter. Next to your battery, you will want to place the biofuel reactor, then you can get everything wired up. To complete the final part of the quest, you will need to charge your biofuel reactor. Now make sure you don't use a whole bunch of your resources. Change stack size to a really small amount and then fuel it up. Congratulations, Traveler, objective complete. You just finished powering your first noob base. But why stop there? This Bob Box needs to be pimped out. Basically, I don't want to have to constantly fill that stupid biofuel reactor up all the time, so let's get some nice solar panels built on the roof of this noob mansion. Solar panels are a bit expensive to make early game, like you need chromatic metal, you need gold, metal platings aren't too bad, but they are well worth making. Once you get them all wired up, they are going to collect those juicy sun rays for you. You're never going to have to worry about your daggone teleporter powering down on you. It's going to be completely and totally glorious. Of course it's dark. Once you have everything hooked up, head back over to your base command unit. It's going to send you on a little quest to go talk to some aliens on the space station. Once you arrive at the space station, you will be talking to 3 random aliens. Just make sure that you do not talk to any of the aliens that are in any of the booths in the space station. If you do, they're going to get totally and completely freaked out and they're never ever going to talk to you again. Your best bet is to hop over to the side that has the teleporter on it and talk to any of the aliens that are walking around over there. Once you talk to the very last alien, he is going to send you right back to your base computer like you were there a few minutes ago. I guess they don't have phones in the future. I'm just going to stop here, grab a little bit more ferrite dust, and then we're going to head right back and pound out the warp cells quest. Went and chatted it up with my base computer, then it sent me on a mission to find a possible distress signal. This is basically a crash freighter where you're going to get your Hyperdrive blueprint. This is exactly what I was talking about before. It wants you to land like really far away and then figure out where you're trying to go. We obviously know we're trying to get our Hyperdrive right now, so we might as well just land over here by the freighter and always take the opportunity to land in those little green circles because once you take off, you get to take off for free. Completing stage 1 of your warp cell quest will give you the blueprint to create a hyperdrive of your very own. Just need chromatic metal and microprocessors. Imagine that. That's why we bought them for. Let's get that hyperdrive installed. Take some microprocessors and chromatic metal that we already have. Now we're ready for stage 2, trying to get the blueprint for antimatter. While we're here, I might as well show you how to loot cargo pods safely. They're almost always behind these damaged panels. Before you interact with them, don't walk right up to it. Make sure you stand back about as far as you possibly can, because once you open up this daggone thing, the whole compartment's going to be flooded with radiation. You're going to get your butt handed to you unless you get out fast. Generally, I don't mess with doing these cargo pods. They're seldom worth it, although the antimatter is pretty awesome. In most cases, you're not going to find anything glorious inside these pods. About the best drop you're going to find is a random amount of nanites. Once you hop back in your ship, you're going to go through a little storyline. Then it's going to ask you to tune your scanner to antimatter. Now that you're back out in space, you can hit your scanner and it is going to direct you to the exact location to get the Antimatter Blueprint. You guessed it, it's another instance where the game wants you to put your walking shoes on, land really far away from where you're supposed to land, and then find it with your scanner. We know we're supposed to land right here. This is an abandoned building. This is where your Antimatter Blueprint's going to be located. Head inside the building, then interact with the corrupted terminal after you get all this disgusting residual goop out of there. After talking to the disgusting goo-covered red eyeball, you now have the blueprint to make antimatter whenever you want to. The game now wants to teach you how to make warp cells, so you need to make at least one antimatter, even if you have one on hand already. Then you're going to make an antimatter housing. Now it's just about creating the warp cell and getting it stuffed into our hyperdrive. But first, it's need before greed, and I really need to be greedy, so we're going to go farm up a whole bunch of these eggs right here. Now it's super tempting to just walk up to those eggs right there, shoot them, and get the larval cores because they are worth a ton of money or a bunch of nanites. The thing is, once you shoot any of those eggs, a whole bunch of monsters are going to pop out of the ground and try to eat your face off, so it's very dangerous. This is why I'm digging a whole bunch of downward sloping tunnels, trying to meet them in the very middle there so they're all connected. Most of the time, the aliens won't go underground and try to mess with you. Well, unless you're stupid like me trying to make a guide showing people how to do this safely, because if you use the big bubble, they actually spawn underground sometimes and kind of kick your butt. I am about to find that out the hard way, so when you dig your tunnels, make sure they're no taller than your head. You want to barely be able to squeeze in there and have a smaller tunnel. Notice how these guys are underground? This generally doesn't happen, and if you're playing on survival or permadeath, this is one of the best ways to get yourself completely murdered. If they do spawn underground, what you need to do is kill them as quickly as possible. Once they die, they will respawn above ground. The second you get that larval core to pop out of the egg sac, they don't last very long, so make sure you loot them as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, this was a small abandoned building, so I only ended up with 12 larval cores. Every one of those larval cores can be refined down to 50 nanites each, and considering I got 12 larval cores, that's 600 nanites. If this stage of the quest had spawned a large abandoned building for me, well, I would have easily farmed twice as many larval cores. So basically, let's hope you get a large building. I reckon it's time to fill my hyperdrive. Once your hyperdrive is all filled up, you're ready to head back into space. It is now time to take our pimp shoes to another star system. Open up your galaxy map, then enter into free look mode. Seeing as how we only need to warp 2 more times to make it to the space anomaly, and since we started in a Viking system, I'm going to be looking for a Korvax or Gek. I guess we'll hit up this Gek system first. As soon as you appear in the next star system, your starship is going to perform an auto-diagnostic. You will now be able to track the fuel source, which is code for talking to big, giant, scary alien technology. First things first, we definitely want to upgrade one of our inventory slots. If you are playing on survival or permadeath, really focus on upgrading your cargo as well as your technology as a priority. While I'm here, I'm going to head over to the appearance modifier and put my real skin on. There we go. Now I am officially the studliest Viking in any universe in No Man's Sky. Yep, you guessed it. This is another instance of, bro, you're too fat. You need to run a whole bunch. Nah, screw that. Let's land right next to where we're supposed to go. Definitely make sure to snag up all of the knowledge stones. Yep, definitely want to snag them up. Then you are free to talk to the psycho-looking alien technology. Yeah, don't worry. It's not going to hurt you too much. Whole bunch of lore later that I'm not going to ruin for you. Let's go back up into space and head to our next location. This Korvax system will be perfect. Stopped off to grab another inventory slot, and since I have just a few nanites in my pocket to burn, I'm going to see if they have any movement, health, or shield modules here. Seeing as how I was an idiot and forgot to check the last space station, I'm very glad they at least have a shield module. Get that installed in your technology, and always remember, traveler, once you go S-Class, you never go back. Yeah. Not exactly sure why Sean and his team are so fascinated with thinking that all of our toons need to lose weight. I know I'm going to be going for this crash ship, so let's land right next to it. More lore from the broken ball. Once you complete it, you'll get some random item. That pulse splitter is actually pretty win. Nanites or something good? Hell yeah, we got an S-Class module. Before you even click on the ship, you can actually use your scanner to see how good it is. It looks like it ended up being a busted to hell B-class shuttle. Now we can get the pulse engines repaired, take it up to the space station, and scrap it. We'll get some money as well as nanites. There will be a starship outfitting station on each and every single space station. This is where you're going to take ships to either scrap them or upgrade them. When you scrap your ship, make sure you have nothing left in the ship's inventory or it will disappear. As soon as you click that "Are you sure" button, there is no turning back. The ship is gone. You're going to get a whole bunch of stuff in your bag that you can sell for units. But first, come over to this guy right here. Click on Purchase Upgrade Modules. Make sure to hit the Sell tab. Now you can sell all these Starship modules that you got from scrapping your ship. We're about to wrap up the Alone Amidst the Stars quest. This means we can call the Space Anomaly as soon as we fly out there. But first, I'm going to prepare to make boatloads, and I mean boatloads of money. And that's going to take oxygen. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Wah, wah. Can't do too many more cha-chings unless I sell all this daggone scrap off. I almost ran out of money. Yeah, needless to say, I bought a bunch of oxygen. I probably should have bought a little bit more, but that's okay. Let's get the heck on out of here and head out to the Space Anomaly. Yes, it would be a good time to come aboard, Nada. Seeing as how I'm going to come in there and suck all you guys dry for your blueprints and your... Wait a second, that sounds horrible. Far too much game lore is about to happen for me to share that with you, but you mostly want to talk to Nada, then Polo, and a few other aliens on the space station. You definitely want to find this tree-looking dude named Helios. He is going to hook you up with nanites for planet data. Let's see how much we get. 150 isn't too bad. Let's head over here and talk to Mr. Noggin, also fondly known as Ares. He's going to hook you up with nanites for milestone data. And since we have hammed out all of the Awakenings quest line, he is fixing to hook us up nice and fat. There you go, 650 nanites, that's glorious. Now I'm not going to bother talking to Mr. Doublechins over here or Kronos. He's a guy that will give you nanites for specially made food. I'm not going to bother with that in this playthrough, so let's run over here and buy some blueprints. Bear witness to screwing of the pooch. I was supposed to talk to Celine here and purchase some hazmat gloves as well as the personal refinery. Instead, I ended up getting distracted by the candy-like exosuit upgrade. After not forgetting to purchase those two upgrades, head over to the construction research station. Purchase the medium refiner. Right after that, purchase the large refiner. Purchase the room or geo bay for two different reasons. One, it makes great extra storage, and two, if you need any more salvage data, it makes it a little bit faster to farm. Grab this electrical cloaking unit. It will hide all your wiring, which will make your Bob box not look so ugly. Seriously, don't waste your data on this number 0 storage container. You're just about to get it for free in just a little while. Head back to Nada and take your very first right. It's going to take you to the teleporter room. From here, you can just go right directly to your base. You're not going to have to fly anywhere. It's money time. Let's immediately put those medium and large refinery blueprints to work. The glorious thing about this method is you can start very small. Remember that salt we got way back in the very beginning of this playthrough? I only have a little tiny bit. We're going to use oxygen to turn that into chlorine, and then we're going to use oxygen to turn that chlorine into even more chlorine. If you didn't get lucky like I did and find some salt, buy some salt or chlorine before you get to this stage. You only need like 1 or 2. You can do the exact same method with cobalt and ionized cobalt. It just pays a little bit less than the chlorine method. Now that we have a little bit of chlorine, it is all about constantly keeping this thing fed here, pumping out tons of chlorine so I can spread this around into other refineries. I do believe I have a little bit of cobalt in my inventory, so let's throw that in here as well and match it up with a bunch of oxygen. I halted ionized cobalt production on the interior of the base. At this point, we're going to run all 7 of my refineries doing chlorine. This is just the humble beginnings. Here in a little bit, I'm going to expand out to have 15 total refineries. We'll have 5 on this landing pad here, and inside the actual settlement, I'm going to have 5 more refineries in there. It's going to be totally win. Basically ran out of oxygen. I headed over to the high supply Viking system. Every single one of the guys that lands here will sell oxygen. First, we're going to sell a whole crap load of chlorine. Then I'm going to buy up a whole boatload more oxygen. Buying oxygen isn't our only plan here. We're also going to be scrapping ships. We're looking for any cheap B or A class ships. If we get lucky and find any S classes, we're going to be doing that too. But after I buy up all their oxygen, if they fit the criteria, I'm going to go and make an offer on their ship and see if I can purchase it. 1.1 million units. This is the perfect buy and exactly what I was talking about. Before scrapping your ship, make sure to destroy any excess alien technology. Keep in mind you can't destroy the 5 across the top. Why do that? Well, you're going to be farming a whole boatload of wiring looms, chromatic metal, and sodium basically for free. My main reason for doing this is I'm trying to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I'm trying to buy a bunch of oxygen so I can make even more money. We're trying to make a whole bunch of nanites at the exact same time by trading units for nanites. Last but not least, we are trying to get storage augmentation units that we can use to upgrade any ship that we want to a max slot ship. Even if this shuttle has been beat to absolute death with an ugly stick, she still is an S-class. She has more slots than my current ship. Sorry, son of death, you gots to go. What's really funny is just a second ago I purchased basically the exact same skin model in an A-class. Transferred all my crap to the ship. Now I gotta transfer all my crap off the ship and put it back on my new S-class. Alright, she needs the perfect name, and Crap Cheddar 1 is gonna be that name. Yep, we're basically broke at this point. Remember we built that construction research unit earlier? Well, it started a countdown clock, and when that gets to 0, you get a free storage unit. Once you build the item the base computer wants you to do, it starts down another countdown timer. When it gets to 0, you get to build something else. You can access your storage unit without it being powered, but you know what? We got plenty of power. I don't feel like jumping through hoops. There we go. We've been at this for a little bit, and I am just about basically out of oxygen. Considering I have 15 refineries going, they just plow through the oxygen, turning everything into chlorine. On our last run selling chlorine, I believe we made about 35 million. This time with 15 refineries fully loaded up with a boatload of oxygen, we're going to easily break 250 million. That is enough space cheddar to just straight up outright buy any S-Class that is already max slot with money to spare. However, the master plan is, once again, buy a whole bunch of oxygen. This time though, we are going to really try to pound out the nanites. I want to get in the neighborhood of about 50,000 before we start stage 3 of the money making. I'd also like to get lucky enough to find an S-Class exotic ship that I can buy nice and cheap, then get her maxed out all the way with all those storage augmentations that we're going to be getting for free for scrapping ships. It is once again that bat time to make a whole bunch of money. Look at all that chlorine. I got it stuffed into every single slot that I possibly have room for. Oh yeah. Let's sell what we have in the ship first. Cha-ching! Hopped over to another dude to see if I can get a better demand price. Unfortunately, it's exactly the same. There we go, 265 mil. That last ship was a really expensive C-Class. There's really no point in trying to buy and scrap C-Classes just because you don't get as many nanites back from the modules. So I'm going to mostly focus on these nice and cheap B, A-Class, and S-Class ships. Just don't forget to scrap all that technology because it is also a farm as well. We've been at this for about 35 or 40 minutes now, and another S-Class ship just flew in here. This one is a decent candidate for fully upgrading all the way. It definitely looks better than that ugly one I scrapped off camera a little while ago. Yeah, nobody needs to see another ugly shuttle. In most cases, those S-Class ships are going to drop really cool modules, and I just screwed the pooch there by destroying the Hyperdrive module. Kind of pisses me off. Oh well, is what it is. I really needed it, so gonna strap the shield module as well, like a dumbass. Every single time I am at this stage of gameplay, it doesn't matter how many times I have started with a brand new save, I always find an exotic S-Class ship. It's just a sheer battle of numbers. You're gonna be doing this stage of money making where I'm at right now for at least a couple hours, scrapping ships. You're not gonna be reloading your saves. Eventually it will always fly in. The Starship Outfitting Station doesn't just make you a crap load of nanites by scrapping ships, you can also upgrade your ship with a storage augmentation. Seeing as how I got a whole boat ton of those storage augmentations for absolutely free by scrapping ships trying to make nanites, I'm going to stuff every single one of those augmentations into my S-Class ship here. The other thing I wanted to mention before I forget, while scrapping ships, sometimes you're going to get a bunch of ionized cobalt and cobalt. Don't sell it. Finally. So we've been playing for about 4 hours total now since we started this fresh save. I've been scrapping ships for the last couple hours. I am so ready for this moment, and by the way, check out how expensive it is to buy an augmentation just by itself at this point. 300 million? You're crazy. Bada boom, bada bing, there we go. She is finally completely and totally maxed out. Alright, where's my space lotion and handkerchief? Let's rename the Skylark of Jeopardy to something you have never seen me name a ship before. I bet you can never guess it. Space Cheddar 1, of course Space Cheddar 1. Who the hell do you think I am here? Let's buy some S-Class modules for my exosuit technology as well as my ship. That shield module will come in handy for my exosuit. Oh, right on, a launch thruster module. You can have 3 of the same type of module equipped in your technology, so I'm going to check all 3 systems before hitting up our base. Once we buy those modules, they're out of stock, so hop into your ship and hop out to create an autosave. Head over to options, reload your autosave. This is going to completely refresh the vendor list. I checked all 3 systems, ended up pimping out my ship as well as my exosuit technology. Let's hop on the space anomaly to buy every single bit of technology we can with nanites. Time to yoink another upgrade for my exosuit. Heck yeah, I think I'm going to go for technology first. Yeah, basically not kidding about visiting every single one of these vendors and buying absolutely everything they have. Make sure to get the economy scanner, it comes in clutch here pretty soon. Here we are with Celine again. The last time I saw her, I think it's a her, I forgot to buy the daggone personal refiner, which happens to be the most glorious thing to have within No Man's Sky. At this point I should have about an hour or so to kill before my first freighter encounter. What better thing to do than head back to the base to make more money as well as upgrade my ship. I have a few more things I have to completely and totally upgrade. The teleport receiver is one of them. I'll probably save some of my oxygen for cobalt production here in a bit, but for now, I've got boatloads of this stuff, so let's make piles upon piles of chlorine. While I'm out here loading up all my daggone refineries, I might as well throw down the Rome or Geobay as well. God, those 15 refineries pump out the chlorine. Let's hop in and out of my ship to create an autosave. I always like to do that. Look at all that chlorine. That is freaking ridiculous. Sorry if you play on survival and permadeath. But if you do, just spend the time early on to find a trading post. It makes it a lot easier to just build your base right there on the ramps, have all your refineries there. Then you can make piles of money without having to teleport like I'm doing right now. And you thought that was all the chlorine I had? Shame on you. Of course I had more than what I'm showing you right now. Check this out. I think I actually used this thing for storage more than anything, but yeah. I kept one full stack of chlorine in my bank. Other than that, I'm gonna get rid of every bit of it here at this daggone trading terminal. Oh yeah, there we go. That should put us over 600 million. Yeah, I basically didn't have to do that round of chlorine, but I did anyway because I'm greedy. Now let's start the cobalt process. From this moment on, we will be selling cobalt in every single system. We are going to be upgrading 2 exosuit slots every single time. And we will be looking for travelers so we can get all 16 glyphs. In order to start that entire process though, we're going to need a whole bunch of cobalt. Now this is only really going to work for you if you're playing in normal mode. If you're playing in survival or permadeath, I highly recommend that you sell wiring looms instead. By the way, all this ionized cobalt is from scrapping ships. We can't go anywhere unless we make warp cells. I'm going to need to make a bunch of antimatter. Ironically, all that chromatic metal and condensed carbon also came from scrapping ships. Yep, you guessed it. We're going to need a whole bunch of antimatter housings as well. Here's the thing, if you have 3 hyperdrive modules like I do, you're probably not going to need 50 of these warp cells, even though we're going to be traveling to far more than 50 systems. Let me demonstrate how you crash the market in No Man's Sky, which can help you make a huge profit. From now on, I'm going to be doing this in absolutely every single system that we visit. As you notice, the cobalt prices right now are at minus 1.3%. I'm going to be making 10.3 million. Immediately go back over to the buy tab. I can buy it back up for minus 53.5%, only spending 6.4. That's not a lot of profit right now, but considering I don't have a lot of cobalt either, it's not too bad. Something I'll remedy right now by buying a whole bunch of cobalt at the crash price off all these little ship guys that land. At this point, I think I'm ready to start warping to some other systems. Got a bunch of cobalt, got my ship pretty much completely pimped out before the first freighter encounter. Let's get the heck on out of here. I will also be using the economy scanner to only go to the highest of economy systems like this prosperous one here. Now, it won't surprise me if this is our first freighter encounter. Wow. Alright, well, I guess I plowed through the making money stage really fast. From now on, every single time I land on a space station, I'm going to be making this exact path. I'll be heading to the left side where all the technology vendors are. We're going to be getting exosuit upgrades every single time we're on the space station. I'll probably go with technology first, then cargo next. I will also be checking all the exosuit, ship, and multi-tool vendors to see if they have any S-Class upgrades that I might want. The sooner I find all the upgrades I want, the faster this process will go. Check the multi-tool cabinet if you want, then head into this back room here. All Viking systems will have one of those little nanite machines in there, and since this isn't one, let's just sell our cobalt at this terminal here. We will use the same method as before, sell all of our daggone cobalt for a better price, and then buy it right back up for the crash price. Head out of the room. While you're looking everywhere, always make sure you're looking for these little yellow globes, blue globes, and there'll be black flat discs. You can get nanites or navigation data. While we're making money and upgrading our backpack slots, our other mission is to find travelers. Here's one right here by this terminal. Let's hit him up so we can find his grave location. I don't want to ruin the game lore for you, but if you offer him 100 nanites on his second question, he'll give you his location. At this point, if I didn't find the traveler, I would summon the anomaly. Just like earlier in the video, I'm going to run down here to his grave marker, interact with it. Once I've interacted with it, I can extract the glyph. We're good to go. That's my second glyph out of 16. Whee! Let's hop up to orbit, then summon the space anomaly. It's time to get a backpack upgrade there too. Let's grab another exosuit upgrade, then head the heck on out of here. We've finally done it. We've made it to our very first freighter battle. Now let's show them what a fully armed and operational battle exotic can do. I like how I creep into range and then barely sneeze on them and they space die. Yeah, you too shall be honored to learn a lesson. Boot to the head. At this point, we have upgraded this exotic so much that we are basically space god to these poor insects which call themselves pirates. Once you break off your boot in their space butts, you can then land on the freighter, either decide to claim it as your very own for free or collect a reward. You can use your analysis visor to see if it's even worth it. You should never accept your very first freighter, considering if you skip this one, you're going to get your second one for free. So let's just request payment instead. We'll get some random item or a bunch of materials. Fast forward to just before my next freighter counter. At this point, I have all of my bag slots completely upgraded all the way. We've got 2.2 billion and I only need a few more glyphs. We are looking for a max slot 34+9 freighter in either an A or an S class. FYI, I spent a little time scouting for this system right here. I found a really nice Star Destroyer style freighter, which happens to be black and blue, so it's perfect. Your very best bet would be to find the exact system you want that has the glorious freighter in it, go into the space station, create an autosave, then make all of your freighter attempts from that location. It's going to save you a lot more time instead of warping in like I did. If you want, you totally can spend the time to try to find a freighter in an S class, but you know what? You can upgrade your A class to an S class later. Might as well just get a max slot and call it good. Seeing as how we skipped our very first freighter, we get to have this max slot A class absolutely free. This thing would have cost us a couple 100 million easy. Cha-ching, this is our last glyph that we need. Now we have all 16 glyphs, we can pretty much go anywhere we want. Before we look for a teleporter, I'm going to hand in my creature data. Now I don't expect to get a lot from Helios. Nah, I didn't expect it. Ares, on the other hand, is about to hook us up totally fat once we give him our milestone data. I have done quite a bit since the last time I saw him. Look at that, 1,300 nanites. Now that we have all 16 glyphs, I want to visit the cartographer here so I can try to find a monolith in order to track down the galactic teleporter. If you want, you can purchase a random map from him. He will always sell the exact same type, but you won't know what that type is until you buy one, so check it out. So that last map we got will help me find crash ships. Let's see if we can just purchase up some alien data here. Looks like we can purchase as many as we want. I recommend that you get at least 5. There are multiple different places this thing can plot to. That's why I asked you to get 5 of these. Luckily, we found it on the first try. If it doesn't plot to a monolith right away, just make sure you go to that location, fly over it. That way you can search again. Interacting with the monolith will force you to choose something. I don't want to ruin it for you. Just make sure you choose the correct path. If not, this totally screws up and you won't be able to find where the galactic teleporter is. If you do screw up though, just reload your autosave. It'll start you out where you hop out of your ship. The other thing is, if you're in a Viking system, you're going to need a daggone dagger, which I forgot to get beforehand. Now I'm going to have to go get one. About the very best way to track down any of the artifacts that you'll need for the monolith is just to summon your freighter, hop on board, and buy it from these little ship dudes. Yep, so much easier when you come prepared. Before you use the Galactic Stargate, you will most definitely need to charge it up. Now, it doesn't matter how many times I get to this point, I always forget to bring my copper. I don't know what it is. I make like a bajillion how-to guides, and I just can't remember to get the freaking copper. I remember at the beginning of this guide when I said I wouldn't mine anything unless I want to. Well, I'm doing this against my will. Finally, I can get this thing all charged up now that I have my copper. After that, let's make ourselves a really cool little mini base with the teleporter in it. Now that your portal's powered, you never have to worry about doing that again, so no worries. Once this portal's active, we can go pretty much anywhere we want since we have every single glyph. That means you can go to the No Man's Sky subreddit or on YouTube to find some really cool multi-tools and ships. I'll be showing you where you can get that really snazzy multi-tool discovered by Cue Ball Gaming. This is the exact portal address to where we're going, so pause the video right now. Dun 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 dun. You can't tell me this isn't Stargate. Sometimes going through the galactic teleporter can be risky, so make sure to make a manual save before heading through. Here we are in the system. Ado Rosto, something like that. Looks like there's a combo here that says the S-Class multi-tool isn't here. My guess is this bro right here didn't search hard enough. Likely what we're looking for is another combo like that one over there or a base computer, so let's find it. Looks like there's another combo. My bet is it's going to be over there instead. Well, maybe not. Here it is. Let's check it out. Well, wah wah, it's the A-class. My guess is it's going to be at this location. There are multiple comm balls. Just look for the trade post right next to it. I'm starting to get that tingling in my Viking pants. My guess is this is the S-Class we're looking for. Thanks a lot, Cubeball, for finding this. Links to his YouTube channel are down in the description. Look at how sexy that S-Class alien multi-tool is. Seriously, if you want to find the best ships or multi-tools, check out Cubeball. Seeing as how we just got ourselves an epic multi-tool and we already have a glorious ship, it is now time to build a base on our freighter. When you get to this stage, build a save point as well as a galactic terminal. After you do that, head to the very back room here in your freighter. We're going to delete this entire room to help us build our actual base. And when I say delete everything, I mean absolutely everything. All the decorations, everything that's hanging from the ceilings or walls, including the actual room itself. You can delete all rooms until you're left with just the hallway in front of the entrance up to this deck. You will want to buy these small and large hydroponic trays as well as all the flowers across the top row. For the second row at the very least, grab the Gravitino balls, the Gut Rot, and the Mordite. You don't need to build a really huge base on your freighter. The most important thing is to have plenty of refineries, and much like my little base I started with, I have 15 on this freighter. Basically, just build a box and put your hydroponic trays and refineries in there. Yeah, basically built my base too big, didn't need to. Let's get some daggone plant material so we can get these trays filled up. You can try to track all this flower material down on the correct planet. It's just easier to go down into your freighter and buy it off the ship, guys. Doing it this way is so much less time consuming than going to the specific planet you need to find the right plant. This is so much easier. Just go right downstairs, grab up everything you need. Now, in order to turn that plant material into more plant material, you're going to need this specific element that's right underneath it. Much like chlorine and cobalt, you don't need a lot of that plant material to get started. I always recommend that you save often when you're building your base, just in case something happens. I have had the game crash on me in the past, although it hasn't happened yet. This is why you don't need to build a really big base. It's just about the refineries. Just stuff in the proper plant material with the right element and you'll get even more of that plant material. You'll do this for all the plant material until you have enough to be able to fill up all of the hydroponic trays that you have laid out in your base. This will not take very long to pull off. Even though you have just a little bit of the plant material here in the beginning, you get a whole bunch really quick. Just need to get that selenium going. There we go. We basically need a whole bunch of poop, which is facium, in order to create those gut rot plants. We also need Mordite too, which is refined from facium, although we do need a lot more facium than we do Mordite right now. Got to build up my crap pile, then we can make the Mordite. If you need more poop, the best way to get that is to combine it with oxygen, then you'll get tons more turds. At this point I have plenty of frost crystal on hand. Let's plant an entire row of frost wart. If you ever build a really big base down on a planet somewhere, you are going to need boat tons of this frost wart in order to make living glass. Now that we have this row done, the very next plant we're going to want to plant is called gamma weed. Its main purpose is to create lubricants, which is used to craft other items later once you've completed your base quest. Next up to bat will be star bulb. You're going to need a half decent amount of this. It is used to create polyfiber. You'll use that polyfiber in conjunction with one other blueprint to create circuit boards. Really, none of that matters right now. We're just getting you prepared for your base quest later. Next, let's plant some fungal cluster. This is used to make acid, which is actually used to produce bombs later down the line. Yes, I said bombs. Don't get to use them, just get to sell them. I'm going to plant the Mordite root right next to the fungal cluster. This is the other component needed to make acid. Let's plant some gut rot flowers down next. Ironically, you are going to need a lot of facium in order to make lubricants, which is used to make living glass. How disgusting. Time to plant some solar vine. This stuff takes ages upon ages to actually grow and mature, so I'm going to plant down quite a few of these. Well, I guess I don't need to because I have a bunch of refineries, but I'm just going to do what I want anyway. The heck with it, let's just do the last of these 2 short rows and call it good. The last of our main plants is going to be this cactus here. This stuff also takes ages upon ages to mature, just like the solar vine. Since that's the case, I am going to plant 2 full rows of this stuff. Well, I'm doing it just because it makes everything match and, you know, I have an extra row. It is what it is. Last but not least, you'll want to plant some of these Gravitino hosts. They don't really sell for much. That's beside the point. You're going to need this later for your base quest. It's easier just to have them now ready to go than try to track them down later. We're just about done here. I'm going to build all 10 of these freighter storage units. I'm going to encircle my entire base. They're going to be all around the outside. With all my storage units in place, I need to hollow out this little area over here on the edge so I can build myself a nice little teleporter. We can't really travel to our freighter with this teleporter, but we can leave here from it. There we go. We are officially done. And by done, I mean I helped you get a whole bunch of money in nanites, find a really cool ship, completely upgrade your tune all the way, but yet we have barely even scratched the surface of what you can do in No Man's Sky. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video, travelers. Peace.